Welcome back to part 2 of our live training session here with our 2017 Camaro ZL1. Our last tutorial, we focused on the base map creation. This tutorial, we're going to jump in, we're going to fire up our engine, and we're going to start to dial in the idle control. This takes a decent amount of time to get the idle control sorted out, to get the torque model back in line and having the throttle plate open and having appropriate spark timing feedback in idle conditions so we can start up, maintain and hold an idle, or if we rev the engine and bring it back into idle, it's going to maintain and hold that idle so we can move on to the drivability portion in the next training module. We have a lot to cover here. Let's jump into our live training module so we can check out how to calibrate our idle control. Welcome back to our live training session here with our 2017 ZL1 Camaro. In our last tutorial, we focused on creating the base file so that we could modify the factory calibration that was loaded into the engine control module to accommodate the modifications that have been done to the vehicle. So we've prepped that. We're going to go and upload it in this tutorial. So we're going to go flash it or upload it. And then we're going to go through the idle control process, getting the engine to hold its own idle. Because we have a larger cam installed, it's going to throw off the torque modeling, which is going to affect the idle control. Our GM Gen 5 applications are pure torque based. So at idle, if it doesn't understand what kind of idle torque the engine is making, it doesn't understand how to open and control the throttle plate to allow a certain amount of airflow in to make a certain amount of torque. It also doesn't understand how to control the spark timing properly to be able to achieve a certain level of torque. So we have both airflow and spark timing that we need to sort out. We don't have direct control over that, but what we do have control is over the torque model. Now, because we have a cam installed, our airflow modeling is going to be completely thrown off. We have to sort out the mass airflow because we have a much larger than stock intake on this vehicle. We've scaled the math out, but we need to go and do some fine tuning there. Now, more importantly here, our speed density is going to be completely thrown out the window. The speed density is what drives the torque calculations in idle conditions. So because we've installed the cam, the speed density airflow estimation is all out of whack. We'll find that we're going to be overestimating the amount of torque the engine is making. As a result, we'll have the throttle plate being open a whole bunch and spark timing being pulled a whole bunch because that torque model is not understanding what's going on. So we need to get the torque model back in line. But in order to do that, we need to go and sort out the airflow model first. We might have to start digging into the virtual torque tables to get things scaled out even further. I'll demonstrate that process here. Again, in this tutorial, it's really the focus of what we're going to be doing. But we can't do that until the engine has came up to operating temperature. When we're firing it off cold and it's transitioning from a cold operation state into a warm operation state, about 180 to 200 degrees coolant temperature, that's where the engine's warmed up. In that transitional range or zone, we really can't look at the airflow models because the engine has been modeled in terms of the airflow modeling, mass airflow, speed density, when the engine was warm. In that transient type of environment where it's going from a cold state to a warm state, there's modifiers that are applying themselves in the background. And we don't want to go and try to compensate or go and try to fix our airflow modeling when we're dealing with a compensation that's being applied in the background. So we want to make sure that we are allowing the engine to warm up first before we attack the idle. Now, I have no idea how this car is going to idle. It might fire up and die. It might have a high idle. It might have a rough idle. It's definitely not going to idle smooth right out of the box because this cam has been installed. So this will be the exact situation you're going to be in with your GM Gen 5 if you're starting to get things going with your cam installed. It's pretty easy to sort things out. As long as you see the process from start to finish, you'll definitely be able to replicate this on your vehicle. Now, how the idle control is going to act is going to vary from different kinds of cam profiles. If you have a mild cam, you might have to go as extensive in terms of what we need to edit. If it's really a radical profile on the cam, you might need to get more aggressive with some of the adjustments we make. Let's see how this pans out. This cam is pretty aggressive. It is a max effort supercharged drop-in cam. So we'll see how things go, and we'll have to find out how much calibration we're going to need here. So it might be a couple revisions, it might be 2 revisions, I don't know. So let's keep an open eye. Now, the first thing we're going to find here is that the file that I have open is called base map. That's what we've created in the last tutorial. What I'm going to do is immediately jump in here and save this as a new file name. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and in this case, I'll call this idle tuning so that we have a distinctive file from the base map to idle tuning. And if I want to go back to the base map and start over again, I'm able to do that. I like to save the files in order of operations as I'm doing the calibration process, because if I'm not happy for any reason how the vehicle is running during that specific process that I'm trying to accomplish, so in this case, idle control, I can go back to the base map, I can start over again, and it gives me a way that I can move backwards or forwards in my calibration process. Really important, especially when you're starting off with tuning. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna do a lot of trial and error testing. So in order to give yourselves the ability to move forward or backwards in the calibration process, save your files in segments or steps, however you feel comfortable doing it. I'm gonna save mine as idle tuning. Once we get into the next tutorial and we do part throttle cruise tuning, I'll save the file again, and then we move into full throttle, wide open throttle tuning. I'll save it again as a different name, but for right now, we're dealing with idle control tuning. So I've saved the file as such. Now what I'm gonna do here is flash the file. Now let's go here, I'm gonna go power on the vehicle here real quick. Let me just go power it on. We're not starting the vehicle. We're gonna go and just simply power on the power cycle here. So I've just powered on the dash, everything's powered on the car here with the button. I'm gonna go up here into the right to the vehicle. So I'm gonna go and write this. Now, I'm gonna go here to write calibration. There is an option here to write entire. That's only used if you're doing an operating system change or switch. We're not doing that. We haven't changed anything here in the operating system tab. So I'm simply gonna go to write calibration and click write. Now when I do this, it's gonna take about a minute, 2 minutes to complete that write process. We can see here it's gonna give me the status of what's going on with this. We'll just be patient and wait till it shows what it's going to say in terms of the flash time, 44 seconds. So allow this to flash. Once it's completed the flash process, then we'll continue on and we'll fire up the engine. And we have a lot of things to discuss. We're gonna jump right into the VCM scanner and talk about a lot of details before we even fire up the engine. So I'm gonna let this finish. I'll continue on here in just a couple seconds as soon as it's completed the process. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.